Hello. After witnessing the fascinating journey of glass in human history, we now take a step into an entirely different turning point, the new era shaped by plastic. Plastic became one of the quietest, yet most transformative revolutions of the 20th century. After glass, metals, and wood, this artificial substance entered the stage, light, durable, and inexpensive to produce, and reshaped the world. Once confined to laboratory experiments, plastic soon spread into every corner of daily life, from our kitchens to automobiles, from medicine to space technology. Yet, this rise also ignited major debates, for plastic is not merely a material, it is a mirror that compels us to think about the environment, health, and sustainability. From natural materials to the synthetic age, the birth of plastic. For thousands of years, humanity lived with what nature provided: stone, clay, glass, wood, bone, and plant fibers. Everything was bound by nature's permission. But by the late 19th century, those boundaries began to dissolve. For the first time, humans started creating their own material. And that marked the dawn of what we now call plastic. It all began as a search for alternatives when natural resources fell short. For instance, when ivory became scarce for billiard balls, inventors sought a substitute. Their pursuit led to celluloid, the first semi-synthetic plastic, derived from plant cellulose, yet offering a flexibility and moldability that nature itself never allowed. Soon came the rise of synthetic chemistry. Humanity was no longer imitating nature. It was creating what nature had never made. This new material, plastic, literally meaning that which can be shaped, was light, strong, and inexpensive. It eliminated the fragility of glass and the heaviness of metal. Plastic was not merely a substance, it was a breakthrough. One that would transform industry, consumption, and everyday life on a global scale. A story of innovation, from Bakelite to the modern era. The journey of plastic did not stop with celluloid. In 1907, Belgian chemist Leo Bakelite took a step that would change history. By combining phenol and formaldehyde, he created a new material called Bakelite. It was the first fully synthetic plastic, heat-resistant, electrically insulating, and easily molded. These traits made Bakelite indispensable. From telephones to radios, plugs to switches, it became the perfect partner of the electrical age, a symbol of modern life in the early 20th century. And then came the successors: polyvinyl chloride, PVC, polyethylene, nylon, polystyrene, Teflon, polyester, each designed to meet a specific need. Nylon replaced silk in the 1930s, first in stockings, then in parachutes. Polyethylene conquered packaging and storage. Polycarbonate appeared in CDs and bulletproof glass. These plastics were not only durable, they were cheap, colorful, and ideal for mass production. Plastic ceased to be a luxury and became a universal convenience. From that point on, the world entered an irreversible process of plasticization. Every aspect of life, clothes, tools, toys, vehicles, and medical devices, was reshaped. Plastic had become not just a material, but the very face of modernity. Plastic everywhere, industry, and the culture of consumption. By the mid-20th century, plastic was no longer just a technological breakthrough, it was a cultural revolution. Developed rapidly during World War II, plastic materials soon flooded civilian life. Every home, every store, every product carried its mark. Industrial production became faster, cheaper, and more diverse thanks to plastic. Glass bottles were replaced by lighter, shatterproof plastic ones. Metal toys gave way to colorful plastic models. Chairs, containers, utensils, everything became more accessible as it turned plastic. But more than convenience, plastic redefined consumption itself. The take, use, discard mentality was born, enabled by plastic's flexibility and low cost. Society began to value replaceability over durability. Plastic was not just an object, it was a lifestyle. Bright, modern, futuristic, it embodied the optimism of progress. In America, the plastic house was showcased as the home of the future. From architecture to fashion, from art to industry, plastic became the skin of an era. A new age had begun. But like every age, it would come with its price. Convenience and consequence, the anatomy of disposable life. The same qualities that made plastic so useful also gave birth to a new concept, the disposable product. This idea appealed to both producers and consumers. Packages were opened and discarded. Utensils used once and thrown away. Nothing was washed, repaired, or kept. Everything became single-use. Behind this system lay a powerful economy, one that thrived on continuous consumption. Even durable plastics were deliberately designed for short lifespans. Meanwhile, media framed disposability as modern and hygienic, clean, practical, contemporary. But this convenience carried an unseen cost, because nothing thrown away truly disappeared. Plastic could persist for centuries before breaking down. We did not yet realize that a bag, a bottle, or a wrapper used for minutes could outlive generations. Plastic had transformed from solution to problem. Plastic and the body, hidden health. Impacts and microplastics. The unseen side of plastic extends beyond the environment. It enters the body. This is not only about pollution, but infiltration. Chemicals used in plastic production, such as bisphenol A, BPA, and phthalates, found their way into food packaging, bottles, and coatings. These substances were later linked to hormonal disruption, weakened immunity, and even certain cancers. Then came another silent threat, microplastics. Particles smaller than 5 millimeters invaded not only oceans, but our tables. They were found in seafood, salt, even drinking water. More startlingly, Scientists discovered them in human blood, lung tissue, and breast milk. Plastic was no longer just in our hands, it was within us. Its long-term health effects remain uncertain, but one truth is clear. Plastic has become part of our biological reality. Environmental crisis. The silent catastrophe of plastic waste. Plastic has become one of nature's most persistent challenges. What began as convenience has turned into a planetary burden. Each year, humanity produces around 400 million tons of plastic, and 40% of it is used only once. Of all plastic ever made, nearly 90% still exists somewhere today. It doesn't rot or truly vanish. It only breaks into smaller pieces. Those fragments infiltrate rivers, oceans, soils, and even the air we breathe. Every year, about 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine mammals die because of plastic waste. Fishing lines inside fish stomachs. Plastic bags strangling turtles. These are the quiet witnesses of our age. On land, plastic clogs waterways, increases flood risks, and suffocates soil. Agricultural lands lose fertility. Food security declines. Mountains of trash grow, while recycling systems falter. The permanence of plastic mirrors the fragility of our future. This is not merely an environmental issue, it is a moral one, the defining test of our time. Recycling realities. Myths and limitations. Recycling is often presented as the ultimate solution, but in truth, it is neither simple nor sufficient. When people toss plastic into the recycling bin, they feel relief. They believe they've done their part. Yet, only about 9% of all plastic ever produced has truly been recycled. The rest was either burned or left to linger. Why so little? Because not all plastics can be recycled. Those small triangular numbers, from 1 to 7, mark different types, but only a few, like 1 and 2, are widely processed. Others are too complex, uneconomical, or technologically difficult. Moreover, unlike glass or metal, plastic degrades with each cycle. It can only be reused a few times before becoming waste again. Even recycling consumes high energy and produces toxic byproducts. In recent years, wealthy nations have exported their waste to poorer countries under the label of recycling. Thus, the burden shifted from convenience to injustice. The conclusion is clear. Recycling is necessary, but not enough. True change requires producing less, consuming less, and rethinking the entire system. Bioplastics and the materials of the future. As the plastic crisis deepens, scientists began to ask, what could replace it? The answer lay in materials that were both biodegradable and renewable. Thus emerged the idea of bioplastics. These are plastics derived from natural sources like cornstarch, sugarcane, or cellulose. There are two main kinds: bio-based plastics, made from renewable materials but not always degradable, and biodegradable plastics, which may still come from fossil fuels yet can decompose under certain conditions. The best-known examples include PLA, polylactic acid, and PHA, polyhydroxyalkanoate. Some of these can even be produced by bacteria. However, bioplastic does not automatically mean harmless. Most of them require industrial composting facilities to break down properly, and large-scale production demands farmland, raising the question, should we grow wheat for bread or for packaging? Other emerging materials are made from seaweed, mushrooms, or even milk proteins. These are still experimental, but point toward a sustainable future. Ultimately, the real question is not just what we produce, but how much and why. Bioplastics may help, but without changing human behavior, they remain only a partial solution. After the plastic age, is a new beginning possible? Future historians may one day call this the plastic age. Like the Stone or Bronze Ages, it will be defined by its dominant material. But this time, the legacy is not only progress, it is also waste, pollution, and excess. Can we begin again? Yes, but only with a change in mindset, not merely material. We now know that our resources are finite, and our convenience carries a cost. Cities are banning single-use plastics. Companies are rethinking packaging. Consumers are becoming conscious. Children are learning about microplastics at school. Small steps, yet signs of greater transformation. The plastic age is not over, but the careless age of plastic can end. If we can rethink, redesign, and reproduce with awareness, then perhaps one day we'll say, after glass came plastic, after plastic came consciousness. And that will mark the true beginning of a new era, one built on sustainability, responsibility, and respect for life. The story of plastic teaches us this. Humanity creates great inventions to ease life, but every invention brings new questions. Plastic built the modern world in medicine, communication, and daily living. Yet it also gave rise to challenges that threaten our health and planet. The real task is no longer to find a new material, but to build a new awareness. The future will be shaped not by consumption, but by sustainability, not by convenience, but by conscience. Perhaps historians will indeed call our era the plastic age. But what truly matters is the name of the age that follows. The answer is in our hands, to consume less, to think more, and to leave a livable world behind. Because every age carries the seed of the next, and now it is time to let that seed grow with consciousness.